Hello, I'm Michael Redmond, professional 9-dan. This video is going to be about the second game of the final of the 14th Chunlan Cup. So this was a 3-game match played between Xuanhao of China and Byun Sangil of Korea in the final of the tournament. So in this game, Xuanhao has black, and let's just get into it. Byun Sangil won the first game of this match. So this is the second game. And yes, so jumping into the 3-3 point here against this opening where black has played a shimari and a star point. Very common. It seems to be the mainline move at this time. And yes, so black played a 3-3 point invasion also. And here white had multiple choices. He covered on this side. He could have extended, in which case maybe something like this, or white could invade the right side also. Invading the right side somewhere around here would be a feasible move. So playing a wall, making a wall and then taking sente to play in the middle of the side, it's still an idea that works. White could have played this way, but actually he played the double hane. So quite often an AI will downgrade your score when you play this variation of the Joseki. But it is very simple. So for that reason, I do suggest that it's a valid choice if you like to keep the Joseki simple. There's a lot of variations of the direct 3-3 invasions that are pretty complicated. So playing this double hane here, it's supposed to be slightly better for black when it's played early in the game. So like in a position like this, I would usually assume that black has gained slightly by the trade, but it was good enough for a world champion, so it's probably good enough for the rest of us. And it's a very simple way to finish the Joseki. So if you like to keep things simple, this works. And white played here. So this is a very important move to follow up with the Joseki in the top right. If black had continued in the top right, black could have extended. This would have been the old Joseki, which ends with white getting sente. So white would be able to play something on the right side here. Maybe attachment, maybe somewhere in the middle of the side. Or let's see, black could have played this one. And this would be something like this maybe. In this case, white would probably switch to the other side. Like this. And let's see, the ladder actually favors black. So in this case, it would be something like this. Or maybe white would avoid that by playing this one. So a variation is something like that. It does have a tendency to allow white into the right side, which was an area that was dominated by black because of the shimari here. So for that reason, the direction of play is actually okay for white. It's not bad. So black didn't do any of those. So when white is going to play the next local move, he played here and played a hanging connection. This is sort of an exception. This could have been, more commonly, this is the best move, which reduces black's potential on the right side by making it open underneath. But he played the hanging connection. So that's the other way of protecting the weak point there, which was something that black could have made use of in, for instance, this variation. So that's the meaning of the move. It's just a different way of doing it. So playing the hanging connection here or playing this one. There's two ways to do it. So white chose this one, which is stronger towards the left side, but not as good at reducing black's territory on the right. It's good towards the top side, maybe in this case, yes. And preparing to play this move. So white built towards the center, building an area on the top side and reducing black's potential on the right side. Okay, so they've played a lot of 3-3 invasions. I guess that's typical of this particular situation. And white invaded. Alright, so black played this one and white played away. So this is an interesting variation. Generally black likes to play this exchange with this move, just to give some extra mobility to that black group. And black would probably continue something like this. And then white would have to decide what to do on the right. So this would give black more momentum in the running fight there. It's not really clear whether that exchange of white 1 for black 2 is good for white. So white played here immediately. If white had played something slow like this, then black would have just played the hane here. And black would be alive. So just by playing the hane there, black's group is already pretty much okay. So that's why black played the hanging connection, the hane kagesugi here to start with. So white played the attachment and cut. And this worked because this area was sort of dominated by black. So white's going to use it as an opportunity to get into this area. So for the time being, the latter favors white. So black can't do anything like this because white would capture the black stone in the ladder. That would be good for white. Black could have done something like this, in which case white would probably just take the 1 stone. And this would start to put pressure on the black group. So like if white plays something like this, the black group is, now it's not alive. And white's pretty much alive in this variation. So even if we assume something like this, it's not so easy for black to kill this white group because there's a point here, there's a point here. So 2 interchangeable points. They're miai. So black would be on the defensive in this variation. So instead he played an Atari and he connected. So this allows the trade. And white got, I'd call that a living shape. There is some potential for black to push out here, but usually it's not a very good move. Even if white just curls around here. It's a bit heavy for black to be doing that. So it's pretty much alive. So black played away. These 2 points on the left side, they're actually miai. So when black played here, white played here. And if black had played on the other side, then white probably would have played something like this. Unless he could have pushed on the 4th line, but I would probably play the knight's move. And this is a really good move in itself. It makes a wall here, potentially increasing white's area on the top side. So these 2 points, they were interchangeable. And even though white doesn't have an extension on the bottom side of the board, it's more important to play this move, which reduces black's potential on the left side here by keeping it low. So like if white had played something like this, then this would have been perfect for, I mean here, when black played here, if white played something like this, then black would have played here. To enlarge, and that's pretty big towards the left side. It would continue something like this, maybe, and so maybe something like this. You can see black's area building up, so probably something like this, and it would be a territory on the left, a big territory. So when black pushed here, white immediately played the knight's move. That makes sense. If black had answered on the left side, and now white would play the hane here. So these 2 points are miai also. They're both good points. White would still be defending that area on the top. And this exchange on the left here, this marked move for black 1, is really helpful in caving black in just a little bit. So it's important to have that one first. So when black played here, white played here. So those were, again, 2 interchangeable points. This is pushing black down to the 2nd line if black answers it. So black could live by playing something like this. So he's pushed down to the 2nd line. And then white would play, I'm not sure, maybe the 2 space jump. Or even could play this one, I guess. Probably 2 spaces. White would defend the top side in any case. And so when black plays here, white actually played this exchange and extended on the bottom side. But white could have played something like this. So this would have captured the black stones. Maybe here, maybe here. This would have captured the 4 black stones on the left side. This would have been a big move. Of course, the game move, that's pretty big too. It's the last side move. It's what we used to call an oba, a big point, a big opening point. Okay, so now white has completed the capture of this stone, just making sure that he had that stone captured. And he slides to, yes. So now white is threatening the clamp here. If white gets to play at R2 next, that would be an attack on the black corner. Okay, so up to this point it's pretty close. Yeah, white needed that extra move there. Okay, so that was just a territory move. We're running out of big opening points, so we're into the middle game. But it's actually, this could just sort of transcend into a kind of an end game at this point, because they've played over the big points. There's actually no groups about to die in this position, so it's almost like they're entering an end game at this point. Only yes. So now when black played here, we're back into a middle game like situation. So this actually was a pretty strong attack against white's moyo there. And so I'm going to say white should have played here. This would have made a better connection. So the peep that white played in the game, it was not sente. It did not end up being a forcing move. Maybe a bit better to play here. In this case, white would be winning the local fight. So maybe something like this. And white would be able to keep the territory. So this point and this point are interchangeable. So if black plays here, white can capture it like this. So this would keep white's territory intact. And maybe it wouldn't have been exciting as the game was, but because there's really nothing that's going to die. No weak groups in this position. So it would really be, in a way, the end game would be starting already. But when white peeped here and black ignored it, now it's a bit more trouble. So in this case, yes, so white played this exchange. Yes, he's trying to get some kind of a squeeze. And he played here. So if he had played here, he would have had a tough choice where to pull back. Maybe something like this. So this would be a fight where black would be able to get out, and white would still have to defend the side territory. And black would, I'm not sure about the moves here, but something like this. White's group on the left is not all that secure. So actually, for instance, if at some point black were to play here, this would actually be connected to something, because this would threat the snapback here, and so black would be able to connect up to the side. So you can see how easy it is for black to scoop out white's eyes there at some later point in the game. So it's relatively difficult for white to make a strong shape for that group. So this was actually a fairly strong attack that black had. But this one, it was still very close, but it didn't quite work out. Maybe it would have been better for black to simply connect and something like this. So this would be connecting out, basically. If white were to play here, not only would this damage white on this side, but also like black would have this move, which would be setting up stuff like this, which would be really bad for white. So yeah, black's probably going to attack here first, but even if black plays here, it's going to be relatively easy for black to save these stones. And white's group on the left is, after all, it's not very strong. So this would be okay for black. In the game, he played here, and this led to an interesting trade. So he's trying to be a bit more efficient, but white took the territory here. So this finished white's territory on the bottom side. So white got a lot of territory out of that locally, but the problem was white's group on the left side. So this was the issue here. This is where it got fairly complicated. This is maybe an overplay on white's part. White could have done something like this, which would have been safer. Or white could have tried coming in between the two black stones. This might have been slightly better for white. So if black does something like this, white would be getting eyes on the left at least. So that was probably better for white. In the game, it got a bit dangerous. So white played here, black got to push once. and then this sequence. So with this, actually black should probably have played the Hane here, yes. And white is trying to surround the black group, so white would maybe play here. But you see white's group is very weak here with this kind of stuff and a cut here. It's not going to hold together, so this is actually going to be a crash for white. One side or the other is going to fall apart. So that's why white's going to play here. It's going to be like this. So this black group, it has, for the time being, it has 6 inside liberties, 7 if we count this one, and a potential eye. So if white plays something on the outside, then black can play here, and this is going to be an eye. If white answers like this, it's just not, white doesn't have, white's going to get cut off and killed, basically, yeah. So it's not working for white. Or if white plays on this side, let's see, let's put it here or something, then black can break through here. This is just, it's not working for white. So black could have done it that way. There would have been no problem if black had played here. So playing the Hane was maybe better for black. It did seem at the time that black seemed to have a slight advantage. He cut here. And this variation, so he wanted to get out, but I was just showing he didn't really have to do that yet. And white squeezed. Yeah, a big squeeze here. Usually when white gets a squeeze like this, you would assume it's good for white. Right. And white played here. This was a mistake. So he's looking at the squeeze with a connection here, but black has 4 liberties, white has 3. At the time white plays the connection. So it's not very much of a squeeze. So that's what they, let's see. Yeah, that's what happened. White played a move here. So that's a potential squeeze, but black still has 3 liberties. So black could play away. Yeah. And yeah, that was maybe a bit of an overplay because white was going to live anyway. But to go back a few moves. Yes. So if white had played here, white would have connected up, actually making some territory. So black can't play here, basically because white can just cut here, and it's not going to work for black. This is really bad. So black would probably maybe just capture the 2 stones, and white would play something on this side. And white would have a connection. So I'd assume something like this. So white has a bit of territory there. And the top side is, we don't know whose territory it is yet. This is really close, but this was a better variation for white than the game, where he saved the 2 stones, but black got the territory, white didn't get any territory on top. So now again we have a close game. It's probably okay for white, but it's very close. And we're in an endgame. Yes. So they're playing endgame moves. This makes sense. Yeah, that was a big move. It's threatening black's life or death. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This was actually a mistake. So when black plays here, we have to remember that this point cannot be played with sente because this is part of the squeeze. Black would have to put back here. So that's actually a point that white can play at some time. White can play here and here. So taking away all of the black territory, eventually black would be putting another stone in there. So that's how this turned out. Actually, if black had played here, then he would have had an eye at this point. So he would play there, and eventually, after white filled the liberty, then black could play here. So that would be an extra 2 points of black territory, potentially. So this is the way black should have played. This is the biggest possible territory that he can get. And in the game, there was the potential that if white got to this point, it would be 2 points smaller than that. And so it was slightly better for black to play this way. So in a half-point game, that kind of mistake matters. And they're finishing the end game. So when white played here, this is a point where black was still okay. It wasn't falling apart. if black had played here, then this is actually, there's no problem with this. So like for instance, this would be the normal endgame where black gets to, everything connects up. Or if white did something like this and pushed through, it's dangerous for white too. So like in this case, black would be pushing white around and white would not be gaining anything out of it. So the black group was perfectly okay, just turning the empty triangle here with 3 would do the trick. So black needed to add a stone to the center for reasons that we will find out immediately. Because black played here. Like, there's a tendency to want to do that. But now white pushes through here. And this was the finishing move, because this is a threat towards the center and it's a threat towards the other side. So for instance, if black were to play something in the center, then white would push through here and capture these black stones. So white wins this race to capture. So it was all this marked white stone that did the trick. If black plays on this side, then white can cut here and capture something in the center, because this would capture these stones. And this would capture these stones. So this trade would be good for white, because white got to save the several stones in the center. So that's what I think is happening with this white stone. And black played one more move, but it's really ended. It's finished at this point. I'd like to sort of leave it here. It's a better position. It's more beautiful to my eyes. So that was Xuanhao versus Byun Sangil. Turns out that Byun Sangil won 2 games straight. So he became the world champion, the 14th of the 14th Chunlan Cup, and won the tournament basically. So that's it for this video. White won the game. This was the final position, and black resigned. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to sign up to my channel for more videos, and like the video if you liked it. So thank you for watching. Bye.